Welcome back to Take Action News, everybody. David Shuster here. Thank you to everybody who's listening to us on the radio, We Act Radio, our syndicated stations all across the country and around the world. And also thank you to everybody who's watching us live right now on our video broadcast on takeactionnews.com, weactradio.com. The technology that we are using is simply amazing, and as you can see that there's a little sort of Google Plus. We're using a Google Hangout, but it's a great video platform, and I think the future of broadcasting has arrived. And by the way, folks, if you've missed any part of the program, or you want to watch any part of the program or see the video sliced and diced at your convenience, you can sign up for our YouTube channel, Take Action News TV. Go to the YouTube channel, hit subscribe. It is free. The videos will then be delivered to your inbox. And it's a great way to watch the program that way. We are so pleased to be joined now by rabin-havt with Media Matters. He's also got his own radio show on XM Sirius Satellite Radio. Ari, welcome to Take Action News.
Hey, David, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm pleased to be having you on board today, Ari. We want to talk a little bit about who Media Matters, and I agree, has declared to be the Misinformer of the Year, Rush Limbaugh, who just said that all the mass shooters are liberals, and then he says, I take that back. But he really got in some trouble earlier this year for this clip. This is him describing Sandra Fluke, who was making the case about the importance of women being covered as part of their health care coverage, being able to get contraception. Here's what Rush Limbaugh had to say about that.
What does it say about the college co-ed Susan Fluke, who goes before a congressional committee and essentially says that she must be paid to have sex? What does that make her? It makes her a slut, right? Makes her a prostitute. She wants to be paid to have sex. Okay, so she's not a slut. She's round-heeled. I take it back. I will buy all of the women at Georgetown University as much aspirin to put between their knees as they want.
Ari, that was just a remarkable thing when it happened at the time, and fair to say that this stands out as one of the most outrageous things that we've heard on broadcasting in years?
Well, I think there are two levels to it. One, you couldn't play the full clip because it lasted 3 full days, right? That, first of all, made it remarkable. And it wasn't like he was talking about Hillary Clinton or Barbara Boxer or a woman with a public platform. Not that makes it any better, but to attack someone who was at the time basically a law student with no media or public platform to defend themselves is what made it so outlandish.
There was an effort, a strong effort, to try to get stations to sort of to block Rush Limbaugh, to get viewers to tune them out. Was that, you think, a logical and somehow appropriate the response for a lot of people who wanted to take action, who felt somehow powerless over what Rush Limbaugh says? I mean, it felt like that was the first major event of this year where people said, you know what, we're going to start using our pocketbooks now and advertisers to try to pressure people to do the right thing.
Right, and I think you've seen over and over again in the stockholder reports and in other conference settings, radio executives, never Rush Limbaugh or Clear Channel, but radio executives talk about the impact that this has had on the entire industry. So I think people took action. I think that action has had an impact. Look, Rush is Rush. He's going to say what he's going to say, but it showed that consumers can have a huge impact if they get together and share their voices.
What do you make of Rush Limbaugh, for example, even on the events of this week? He said that the NRA press conference, Wayne LaPierre, who wouldn't address or offer any sort of sympathies or empathy to the victims of Newtown, Connecticut. He wouldn't talk about the proposals for gun control to get rid of the gun show loophole or get rid of assault weapons. Instead, Wayne LaPierre delivered a statement and didn't take any questions strictly about the idea that there should be armed guards, armed police now in every school in the nation. And Rush Limbaugh's reaction to that...
You mean the more guns, less teachers proposal?
Yeah, exactly. More guns, less teachers. And Rush Limbaugh's reaction was Wayne LaPierre sounded like an adult looking for real solutions.
If that's what an adult sounds like, I was going to come up with some analogy, but it's so insane. I mean, I think watching that, here's the problem with Rush, and I think ultimately this is the problem conservatives face overall, and why Rush makes the perfect misinformer of the year, because not only did he misinform on the left and spread hatred and lies, he misinformed his own party. He misinformed his own team. He misinformed his own ideology in that he's led them to a place where the conservative movement is entirely captivated by niche marketing. And what I mean by that is the critical moment of the campaign, I thought the moment that the entire race turned around was at the Hofstra debate, where Mitt Romney and Barack Obama had that exchange about Benghazi. And what was so remarkable about that to me was not that Candy Crawley corrected Mitt Romney. It was that Mitt Romney was so captivated into the right-wing message machine that he didn't realize not everybody was hearing the same things he was. He couldn't conceive of the fact that there were different voices and different opinions on this, and that the facts he was getting and his advisors were getting, because they were getting them from Fox News and Rush Limbaugh and places like that, were wrong. So much the same, I feel like Wayne LaPierre was very misadvised yesterday. For a group that has a $200 million annual budget, I mean, think about that for a second, a $200 million annual budget. He went out yesterday, and it was very clear to me. He gave a statement that the right will like, that the right will absorb. He spoke to them. But he didn't speak to anybody who doesn't watch Fox News all day. And ultimately, this is what does damage to the conservative movement. Now, for their media stars, the Rush Limbaughs, the Bill O'Reillys, it can make them rich. Because if you can get a few million people listening to you, that's going to make you a lot of money. But it's going to, if your politicians start listening to you, they forget that it's only a few million people, and those few million people are now only talking to themselves. And that's where your communications mechanisms just completely break down.
We're talking with Ari Rabin-havt, Senior Advisor to Media Matters and also host of The Agenda on Sirius XM Satellite Radio. Ari, do you get any sense that having been burned by conservative media, that at least a lot of the establishment Republicans are trying to minimize Bill O'Reilly, Rush Limbaugh, and the rest for fear of not repeating the same mistakes in 2013 that they had in 2012?
No. Because if they were, we wouldn't have seen what happened. We would not have seen what happened this week to John Boehner happen. If they were trying to minimize the damage, we wouldn't have seen that incident in the House of Representatives. It's very clear they are all in on this. That they have decided that they're not going to talk to the country anymore. That the Republican Party and the conservative movement is only going to talk to the viewers of Fox News and listeners of the Rush Limbaugh Show. That's what choosing Jim DeMint to head the Heritage Foundation is all about. And that ultimately is why Rush Limbaugh makes such a great Misinformer of the Year, which you can read the whole article on him at MediaMatters.org, why we named him that. Because his view, it's not just about Sandra Fluke. His view has distorted the entire conservative movement. I mean, and it's gone so far that it ultimately cost them by destroying debate in this country.
And again, there's still this fear that if you somehow cross Rush Limbaugh, if you somehow say something that he disagrees with and you're a conservative, then you get ostracized not only by him, but then all these millions of followers who listen to him and watch Fox News.
Right, and you have to fear them. And look, anytime there's that type of control exhibited by one wing of any party, it ends up problematic for that political group, because to win an election, you need to convince 60 to 70 million people that you are right. You can't do that by convincing 3 million people you're right.
The evening shows on Fox News this past week, they were mocking Hillary Clinton's concussion. There does seem to be a certain sort of absurd quality to sort of the entertainment, whether it's Rush Limbaugh or Fox News.
I refer to that as the new birtherism.
that Hillary Clinton really didn't have a concussion. But
first off, anyone who knows Hillary will tell you, Hillary's not one who's going to fake backing down from a fight. you know, she hasn't in 20 years. Why is she really that scared of a bunch of Republican senators? Really? No. I mean, it's absurd, and it's because a State Department report came out this week that essentially said all the right-wing scandal mongering around Benghazi was false. It was, as Democrats and progressives said all along, there were mistakes made. And by the way, 3 people resigned from the State Department. Mm-hmm. That's 3 more people than ever resigned for, you know, botching the entire Iraq war.
Mm-hmm. Ari Rabin-havt, Senior Advisor to Media Matters, host of The Agenda on Sirius XM Satellite Radio. He's sticking with us. And on this the next segment, we're going to talk to Ari. We're going to lighten things up a little bit. We're going to play to one of Ari's strengths, and that is we're going to have a little bit of fun, particularly with a member of Congress who tried to deliver an apology on the House floor and only repeated what he was apologizing for. So we'll talk about the general theme of redemption and apologies with Ari Rabin-havt when Take Action News continues after this.